Hello and welcome everyone to the second to last weekly walk in 2023, specifically on December 20th, 2023. Hello, my name is Desiree, and today we are going to explore Central Park in winter, and we are going to be exploring all the different ice rinks throughout Central Park, both past, present, and future, throughout Central Park to explore all those different ice skating rinks for some nice wintry fun. I'm also in the spirit myself. It's a little hard to see because of my background, but just rest assured I am in the holiday spirit. And without further ado, let us begin. And of course, we have our Zoom housekeeping, where you should shout out where you're from in the chats. You could also turn off the chat feature using the arrow at the side. Also, if you have a question, we've got some folks behind the scenes. We've got Jose and Ryan there to ask your questions only in the Q&A chat feature. Then lastly, we have a transcript, which you could also turn off at the bottom using the right arrow if you so choose. And we know that the Conservancy is here to preserve and celebrate Central Park as a sanctuary from the pace and pressures of city life. And especially during this time of year when we see lots and lots of tourists flooding the park to have some wintry fun in Central Park. So our walk is going to be a pretty simple one as we stay at the south end of the park, entering around 60th Street and 5th Avenue. And we are going to be ending at none other than Bethesda Terrace. So with that, let's just jump right into it. Here we are right across the street from Grand Army Plaza, right in front of what's known as the Lombard Lamp. So this is going to be the entrance, 60th Street, right across the street from Grand Army Plaza at the southernmost end of the park. And it is very unique because upon its entrance, you can see this beautiful Lombard lamp. And on closer inspection, I saw this nice plaque that's explaining to us that the Lombard lamp is essentially from Germany. It says lamps such as this are seen in Hamburg, Germany since 1869, and they are on the famous Lombard Bridge. This lamp was presented to New York City by the people of the Hanseatic city of Hamburg, so that it may forever brighten a bridge of friendship and human relations in trade and commerce to those in New York City and those in Germany. So shout out to the Lombard lamp, which you could definitely see if you enter on 60th Street. And with that, we are going to enter the park, looking very nice and still a little bit autumnal. We actually are on the winter solstice, right? Or is that tomorrow? Officially today on December 20th, I do believe this is the winter solstice. But essentially, here we are at our first site for today. This is going to be known as the pond. And if you could guess, this was one of the many sites you would see ice skating in Central Park if you entered in here during the 18 or early 1900s. So at the pond, we also have a beautiful view of the Gap Style Bridge, that beautiful, nice, iconic stone bridge in the background. But essentially, whenever the weather permitted it, there would be ice skating on the pond, but it was actually replaced by a site that we are going to get to see very soon. And on my walk, I saw some nice and lovely mallards. I had to stop by and say hi to them, but just a nice friendly reminder to never feed the wildlife in Central Park. They do have everything they could ever need, and especially for things like birds, we're actually giving them a detriment if you feed them things like white bread. They can get diseases, they can get sick. As you can imagine, that is not something they would find in the wild. So just a friendly reminder to never feed the wildlife throughout Central Park. And with that, we're already making it over to our next site for today, a place that I'm sure many of you are already familiar with. We have some nice and beautiful rock outcropping, some nice Manhattan mica schist that we got to get past as we're moseying on down. And over here is going to be the upper level or the observation deck of one of the most popular spots in all of Central Park. And of course, that's going to be none other than Woolman Rink. Woolman Rink is definitely the perfect site and exactly what you would think of when you think of ice skating in Central Park. So it's one of the most popular places for ice skating in New York City. And it was financed by a woman named Kate Woolman, who was a philanthropist and a New York City resident at the time. She financed the rink's construction, hoping to bring happiness and fun to the children who would ultimately use it. And it might be a little bit hard to see, but the day that I did take these pictures, I had a nice little winter wonderland myself because we did have a small flurry on the day I actually chose to take pictures. But the beautiful views that you'll get of nature nestled right in Midtown of New York City, the juxtapositions of the buildings that you will see that surround you add to the very amazing scenery that you're going to get right here in Woolman Rink. So definitely check out Woolman Rink if you have the time. It's also cheaper than the Rockefeller Center rink to ice skate in. So I would definitely recommend Woolman Rink for some nice and wintry fun. And this would also be the site that replaced ice skating that used to happen in the pond that we saw not too long ago. Now, just to bring it back to the past for a moment, we have a nice view of Woolman Rink from 1956. So this picture comes from the Library of Congress. And essentially, it's a nice historical image from the Library of Congress of the views you would have got of Woolman Rink in 1956. And with that, we are already going to be moseying off to our next site for today as we are making our way through Central Park. And we get a nice glimpse of the beautiful dairy that is definitely not too far away. After you stop by Woolman Rink, definitely stop by the Dairy Visitor Center / gift shop to have a nice souvenir or keepsake as you make memories in Central Park. We're gonna mosey on up the road to another nice site, newly constructed, actually, newly renovated. This is gonna be the Chess and Checkers house. Just unveiled in September of this year, the Central Park Conservancy's new endeavor. Essentially, they rebuilt this beautiful rustic structure, this rustic wooden structure that once used to be known as the Hindenburg. So shout out to the rustic care team and all of the people who help support and renovate Central Park. And as we are passing by the Chess and Checkers house, we get a nice, more beautiful view of the dairy, which was also nicely renovated in 2020, not too long ago. And we are going to mosey on down to what's known as the formal section of Central Park as we cross the streets. But I decided to take the path less traveled as I am right beside the path known as the mall. There's going to be one of the only straight paths, but if you wanted to take a longer path and a path that's not as used as often, I would suggest the path next to the mall. It's also nestled in between the mall and what's known as Dead Road, which is going to be over here. And it's just named Dead Road because it's a road that is no longer in service. And if you do end up taking this path right beside the mall, we have some nice and stunning art to greet us on our way. So this nice, beautiful, stunning, and impactful statue is going to be known as the Eagles and Prey statue. And essentially, this is the first work of sculpture that was actually put in Central Park. It was created in 1850 and made its way over here in 1856. So essentially by a French artist known as Christophe Pratin. This is going to be the oldest work of art on city parkland. So this is going to be art and a sculpture, not a monument per se, but what it's depicting is two eagles rather gruesomely and graphically tearing up their next meal, which is going to be a goat. Eagles are actually quite massive. They're actually a little bit bigger than what's portrayed in the statue, if you could imagine that. But lots of people were actually drawn to this very graphic nature, as the artist was also known for all of his anatomical details that he puts and the realism that he puts in his sculptures. So definitely check out the Eagles in Praise statue. That's going to be right next to the mall and also pretty close to the non-brick bandshell. And over here is the non-brick bandshell, which used to be known as the concert grounds in Central Park, that once used to provide free Sunday concerts that would attract some working class folks to actually visit Central Park in the 1900s. And we have another stunning work of sculpture right by the concert grounds, and it's going to be very appropriate because this is going to be a bust of none other than Ludwig van Beethoven right on the concert grounds. So in 1884, a German-American choir society are going to be the people who advocated and donated this statue to the park, because at the time, we had monuments of many other figures, but none of musicians. So this was going to be the first sculpture of a musician in Central Park. So of course, the park's admin accepted the gift, in part because, again, there were lots of different monuments to different poets and things of that nature, and even scientists, but there were no musicians at the time. So shout out to Beethoven's bust that sits directly across from the non-brick bandshell. All right, and with that, we are going to the center of Central Park, what we like to call the heart of the park. Definitely one of the most populated areas in all of Central Park. It's going to be none other than Bethesda Terrace. So here we are as we sit at the top of the stairs of Bethesda Terrace. This is going to be a beautiful monument, a beautiful place where art and architecture come together as one in this beautiful harmonious symphony that we now know as Bethesda Terrace. So essentially, this terrace was going to be constructed by a successor of Calvert Vaux. His name is Jacob Reymond. And he adorned this beautiful terrace with lots of these different sandstone sculptures, like the one we could see right here that's going to be an owl. So even though it is art and architecture, it's still going to have nature as a prevalent theme. So nature and the passage of time. So essentially, the top of the terrace is going to be dedicated to the day and night cycle of the park, which is why we're seeing this owl right here that's going to represent the nighttime. And at the bottom of the terrace, it's also going to be dedicated to the passage of time, essentially being the 4 seasons. So those 4 pillars at the bottom of the staircase, which we soon will get to see, are going to be dedicated to the 4 different seasons and are going to have different sandstone sculptures dedicated to each season. But let's make our way through the arcade to actually get there. So the arcade, of course, is going to be characterized by these beautiful arcs that are drawing us more into the park, and also, of course, the beautiful Minton tile ceiling. So this beautiful Minton tile ceiling was nicely restored by the Conservancy in the early 2000s. But if you made your way into Central Park in the 90s, for example, there was no Minton tile ceiling to be seen, as it had to be completely removed for this restoration effort. One of a kind ceiling in the world, and it wouldn't be the arcade without our beautiful resident performer known as Carlos, who is always providing some beautiful ambiance right underneath the arcade. So here we are at the other side of Bethesda Terrace. Let us take a closer look at what I was talking about previously. So these pillars right here are going to represent the passage of time. And essentially, this part of Bethesda Terrace is going to be dedicated to winter. So there are also sandstone sculptures that represent that season that are along the staircases. So let's take a closer look to see if we can find anything that symbolizes winter on this staircase. And upon closer inspection, we can see that there is none other than a pair of ice skates that are right on the Bethesda Terrace. It's giving us a little hint of our last site that we have for us in store and telling us how important ice skating actually was in Central Park's history. So definitely take a closer look next time you're at Bethesda Terrace so you can marvel at these beautiful sculptures. And this is just another example of some of the sandstone sculptures that adorn the terrace. And we are making our way right past the beautiful Bethesda Fountain, or the Angel of the Waters Fountain, in its nice winterized state. Now, essentially, we take out the water in the winter so we don't see any infrastructural problems happen to the pipes or to the beautiful sculptures on the Angel of the Waters Fountain. That's why there's no water in there. But the Angel of the Waters is not the star of the show. Definitely check her out. You could see some of the statue's details a lot closer without the water being there. But what we're going to focus on is right beyond the Angel of the Waters statue. But first, a very important note. You're going to see these ice ladders all around Central Park's water bodies for a very important reason. It says keep off the ice. So even if you see what appears to be a frozen lake, never, ever, ever go on top of any of our water bodies. But we have this emergency ice ladder that's going to be stationed at all of our water bodies, all around them, just in case of an emergency or an accident. So definitely keep your eye out for all these ice ladders that are going to be scattered around Central Park only during the winter time. So here is what we essentially came for. This is going to be the star of the show, and you're probably a little bit confused. We are staring at Central Park's lake. So this lake originally was known as the Skating Pond. Bethesda Terrace and its lake was actually the first section in Central Park to ever be opened to the public. And that's because ice skating was so popular and important during the times of the 1800s. But if you notice, the architecture of the terrace is almost inviting you to walk onto the lake, which again, you should never do. But that is because it actually used to be an ice skating rink. So again, never walk onto the lake, but this activity was so popular, we're going to kick it back to the past for a second. We have a nice historical image depicting how popular this activity was. This is one of the few activities that you could do co-ed, and it was so popular that they would even extend the park's hours to allow for even more skating and some beautiful wintry fun. So this is going to be a picture of folks in 1862 that visited Central Park for some nice wintry fun. And also this image is going to be from the Library of Congress as well. But for our skating rink that is going to kick us to the future now, let us talk about our skating rink in the North End. So essentially, this is going to be what was formerly known as Lasker Rink. That's going to be at the north end of the park, specifically Central Park North, 110th Street, if you take the 2 train. So this is going to be the biggest renovation and restoration project in the Central Park Conservancy's history. So not only does it give new life to the skating rink, but it's also going to provide a new pool there as well. And it's going to provide activities and recreation for the entire year. So you can actually enjoy this area, not just in summer or winter, but in spring and fall as well. And it's also going to reconnect the water system that used to be previously connected there. So some historical attributes as well. But right now, we are actually going to have a special guest to talk about how you can directly support our efforts here at the Conservancy.
So this series, Secrets of Central Park, is led by our Conservancy guides, and it is open to all members. So I'm going to take just a few minutes of your time and explain how to become a member of the Conservancy and why you should all be members of the Conservancy if you aren't already. So the easiest way to become a member of the Conservancy is right on the home page of our website, and we are listing that in the chat. So once you are on the home page, in the top right corner, you'll see a red button that says Join Renew. If you click on that red button, it'll take you to our online form, which allows you to choose your membership level, and you can fill out your payment information. That direct link is in the chat as well. All right. Okay, so why become a member of Central Park Conservancy? The Central Park Conservancy, if you don't know, it's responsible for the day-to-day care of Central Park. You might not know this, but Central Park Conservancy is not a city agency, and we're not a part of the Parks Department. We are a nonprofit that the City of New York has entrusted to completely care for Central Park. The Conservancy is funded primarily by individual donors like members. And in fact, over 80% of our budget is comprised of individual donations. So when you're in the park, almost everyone you see is actually a Conservancy worker. We are the gardeners, we are even the sanitation workers, and we are the tour guides like Desiree. Desiree beat me to it, but we also manage the architecture and the construction of Central Park. So for example, that Harlem Mirror Center, which Desiree mentioned, that is designed by our architects, and we're managing the construction of the Harlem Mirror Center. So we pretty much do it all. So in addition to keeping the park so beautiful, membership also comes with benefits and perks. At the gardener level of membership, which is our entry point, and which is it's a $50 tax deductible donation per year. Members get access to all virtual programs like Secrets of Central Park. Members also receive discounts at the Central Park shop, which is both online and in person. Members also receive discounts on our paid public. So if you want to take an in-person tour with Desiree or Ryan or Jose, then you get a discount on your tickets. Additionally, members, of course, also receive a Conservancy tote bag and a pocket map. So we do have other levels of membership, which you can see on our page, and that goes all the way up to $10,000 per year. As your member level increases, then the more in-person events you'll be invited to. So for example, if you join at our $250 protector level, you'll be invited to 6 in-park tours, and you'll get invites to our annual skating party at Rink. So I really encourage you all to visit our website and see which membership level is your best fit. So if you don't want to donate through the website, then you could definitely mail us a check, and we could also take your information over the phone. We also accept donations from donor advised funds. We accept gifts of stock, and we of course accept quotable charitable distributions from any RMD. So if you have any questions about membership, please reach out to us. We're always here, and we're friendly, and we love to talk. And we're available through email and through phone, and those are both listed on this slide. So thank you.
So as you heard, folks, if you are feeling generous and if you would like to continue seeing our beautiful virtual programming that we've been providing for a while, for 3 years for free, then definitely we would really appreciate your support to continue the success of this program. So let me just say, it has definitely been an honor and a privilege to provide all these weekly walks for you for the past year or so. So again, just thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for your support and for all the support you've given us over these past 3 years. Don't worry, we're going to have one last weekly walk next week, which is going to have a couple of us guides. It's going to be really fun. We're going to be looking at the highlights that we've had this year. We're going to have a nice Q&A if you would like. There's going to be a couple of us in attendance, which is actually very rare. So I would just like to thank you all again for joining us. If you have any questions, definitely check out membership on our site. All right. So I hope everyone has a beautiful, happy, and safe holiday season. So definitely from us at the Conservancy. Stay safe, be well, and happy holidays to all. Thank you. Bye.